Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rise Up with Janeena Chan. Today, we have a very beautiful guest. I hope you're watching via video too to see how gorgeous and glammed up she is. Okay, so we have none other than our Miss Chinatown 2020, Cassandra Chan, my sister. Are you my shobe by a few months? Oh, well, yes, she's here. But okay, before we get carried away with saying hi to each other, just a little bit more of a backgrounder of where she's coming from. So actually, she is now a professional ballet dancer, aside from being our reigning queen. So she's been in this industry for more than 17 years now. Very impressive, very passionate about what she does in the field of the arts, and she also now is teaching ballet to children and also assisting her very own longtime teacher and former principal dancer of Ballet Philippines, Effie Nanyas. And she also was or still is in the modeling industry and also the pageantry world. Of course, last 2019, she joined Pilipining Pilipinas, where she shared her love for dancing as well and brought home the Miss Talent 2019 award, as well as top 10 for national costume. Wow, congratulations. And yes, she's here with us sharing her love for the arts and how important it is and still very essential, especially in these bleak times. Right? I mean, I wouldn't want to say it's completely bleak, but this is all about this is exactly what we're doing here at Rise Up with Janeena Chan, sharing our rise up stories and how we can translate that into what we do, and hopefully to all the creatives listening out there. And I think not only creatives, everyone has a creative side, of course, for sure, diba? To everyone listening, I hope this inspires you to tap on that creativity and be productive with it, and maybe even make a career out of it. So hi, Cassandra, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time off of your busy schedule to join us. You look amazing.
Thank you, Janeena. Nice seeing you again.
Oh, I love it. So sweet. Ayan. Ano pa lang yan, buwelo pa lang yan. I think she's madaldal. Right?
Yes, with the right person.
So we're so excited to have you here. I mean, of course, you're our reigning Miss Chinatown. First time I met you was last year at the height of it all, and grabe, we were still able to pull that off, right? The entire team.
I know.
An online virtual pageant. So yeah, coming from that, how have you been so far? First of all, before we talk about, the creatives and how important it is. Kamusta ka naman, Cassandra?
It's been going great ever since coronation. Justin and I have been doing some projects here and there. He's been doing his own thing in Tacloban, and I've been doing my own thing here in Metro Manila. I think we had a few donation projects for the typhoon last year, so it's been going well. And for 2021, I spent a good first part of the year just spending time with my family. I've been still working, so I've been seeing my students. We've been getting ready for our summer recital, so I'm so happy for them. Yes, they're so cute and so adorable.
I bet it keeps you even more like younger and refreshed.
Yes.
Right? Being like surrounded by all that youthful energy.
I know they're very ganada every time we have class, so it's really nice that these kids have energy. It makes you want to work more and more and teach them more and more. It's great.
Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, let's get right to it. You're basically, in a way, the ambassador of the arts in your very own right, diba? I mean, wow, not everyone is able to make a career out of their passions and out of their, I would say, hobbies. And it's so evident naman in your posts online that you really enjoy what you're doing. So can you take us back from the very beginning? Why ballet, and how is your relationship with the arts?
Well, I started ballet when I was 7 years old. My family and I just moved from the States, and my dad and I were just walking around in a mall, just having a nice Sunday lunch, and then we saw this one studio that offers taekwondo and ballet.
Oh wow.
So, yeah,
that's
so
cool.
I was a tomboy when I was a kid, so I told my dad, can I try taekwondo? He's like, no, he's very traditional. I was like, that's not something girls should do. We should try ballet. So I tried, I gave in. I thought it would be like a one-time thing. Like maybe I'll just try it for maybe a couple of weeks, and I'll try gymnastics or swimming because I was very active as a kid. And then 1 week became a month, then a month became 17 years, and I've been doing it for so long.
Oh my gosh. She's not old at all. She just started very young.
I started
Right?
very young, but it was just a coincidence, definitely.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so since then, yeah, basically the rest is history, as some may say. So, wow, congratulations. But for you, what were some of like since this is Rise Up with Janeena Chan, what were some of your major, let's say, rise up stories or struggles getting into where you're at right now? Because a lot of people, they always see the finished product. It's either they watch a ballet recital or they just see it on TV. You guys make it look so effortless and so easy, but you guys are real athletes, huh? I mean, it's hard. Being a ballerina is hard. So tell us more about that. And also, was there what do you call this? Because with Filchi families, also not everyone understands the arts, right? So good for you that you have that support system. So tell us more about that as well.
This is my favorite topic to talk about, actually. So, I started very young, and I'm just very grateful because my parents were so open to the arts. As you mentioned earlier, Filipino Chinese families aren't that into, not a lot of them are into the arts. They wouldn't really push their children to join these art classes, these ballet classes, or whatever it may be. But I'm very grateful that my mom and my dad were open to that, and it wasn't like a hobby just to do something on the side. They encouraged me to keep on going to class and keep on practicing. And you mentioned earlier that that ballet looks very effortless on stage. It looks like we're not even trying, but it's actually the opposite. There's a saying in the dance industry, in ballet, that to make something look effortless, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of practice to make it look easy. So that's what we work on every week. So when I was training, actually, I would go to class, I think 2 to 3 times a week. So my weekends are dedicated just to ballet. So I had to sacrifice a lot of my childhood, in a sense that I couldn't really go out with my friends on the weekends. Or when I was growing up and when I was high school, I couldn't really go to parties and hang out with my friends over the weekend. So that was a struggle for me. I wanted a normal high school life.
Okay. And how about your fellow ballerinas? Weren't they your like kabarkada back then?
They were my barkada too. Yes.
Oh, okay. That was the case for me too, because I also started young in the modeling and hosting industry. So parang naging sila yung friends ko, the crew, and like my co-hosts or my co-models. So it was something like that.
That's true.
Different, but at least, right?
Right. It's very different. But they become your barkada, but they do understand the sentiment. They have friends outside, and when you're a teenager,
also want to hang out with them.
Yes, you want to just go to these birthday parties, maybe a debut here and there, but you have class, you have rehearsals. So that's really a sacrifice. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but now I really think my teacher and my parents say, like, you can't go, you have to practice. So.
But for sure, all that sacrifice has paid off.
Yes, it did.
But I mean, on the national stage, being able to bring home that honor to your family too, while wearing Mulan.
I know.
Honor to us all. Right? Miss Talent. That is that's out of the many, many talented pageant entries. I mean, pageant participants, candidates, the queens. I mean, all of you are amazingly talented, but wow, to be able to bring that home. Yes, I'm sure your mom and dad were like, whoa, Korean. Diba usually ganun yan?
Yes,
Korean, that's
very supportive.
Oh, that's so
I appreciate
cool.
that.
So cool for you to have supportive parents in that industry. But maybe you've met some friends too who ask you about, how did you do it? Or like, paano na if my parents don't understand? So what is your advice for them when there are certain people who want to kind of delve into the arts that their parents may not understand? So what can you say about that, Cassandra?
I actually have a few friends who have that experience. When we were going to college, some of them wanted to go to dance college, or they wanted to do fine arts maybe, or a painting course. And we would always have this conversation, like, how can I compromise with my parents? Because our parents, of course, they just want what's best for us.
Yeah.
And every time we would talk, we would always tell each other that, our parents wants what is best for us, but we still need to follow our heart. We still need to be true to ourselves. With the compromise part, I like how some of my friends actually followed their parents and went to being a doctor and being a lawyer. And what they told me is that after they graduated from that course, or after they became a doctor or lawyer, that's when they became very famous artists. They became dancers.
Okay. Kaya pa rin naman.
Kaya pa. It's a compromise for sure. So I think it depends on every family, and it depends on whether your parents are very strict, like you can't, have a compromise. So it depends. But for me, I'm a very idealistic person. Even though my parents were like, "Oh, Cassie, I don't think you should go to fine arts," because I went to fine arts and.
So there was some hesitation pala on their end. I thought they were supporting all the way through.
For the ballet part, they were supportive, but when I was going into college, they were like, "Cassie, maybe don't go into a fine arts course. Maybe you should try nursing or dentistry." I'm like, "No, Mom, I really want to do this."
That's so different. Nursing or dentistry is so different.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was a compromise, but on my experience, I followed my heart and I told my parents, "I'm okay, Mom. Lola, I'm okay. I'll be fine." So they understood, because I was really passionate about it, and it was my dream school. It was my dream college. So I showed them that I worked hard. I took a couple of classes when I was in high school. So I tried my best to pass and to get into that school. So
okay. So for you, objectively, how was it a success on your end? Kind of. So what would you say, like, were the steps? Talk to them, like have a conversation.
Yes, conversation first.
And how do you make them respect something they don't understand?
I feel like with my story, talking really didn't help.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not just a conversation. It has to be more than that.
It has to be more than that. You have to show them that, the conversation is important. At least they know where you're coming from, how passionate you are. But I feel like actions speak louder than words. So definitely. I showed them that I'm serious about it. I practiced every day. I studied my butt off so I could pass. And that's when they saw, like, oh, this isn't some whim that Cassie wants. It's something that she sees, like, that she wants in the future. So yeah, it was really a dream, and it's not something that I want to go to this school. It's something that I really wanted. So it's actions talaga, I think that's more important.
Yes, that's very true. And in every field naman, diba? Laging may hirap in every field, but not everyone knows. It's so easy to judge from the outside looking in.
Yes.
I mean, that's exactly, I guess, what we're created for, right? We're not meant to be doing the same thing. Like if he's a business guy, if everyone's a business guy, edi anong gagawin natin? Mag-trading na lang tayo. Diba? So parang, diba, we also need the arts. So tell us naman about the misconceptions that you face with your field as a ballerina and even as a professor talaga. What do you call that again? Ballet teacher? What's the proper term for that? Please enlighten us.
Ballet teacher.
Professor.
Yeah, just a ballet. Professor in ballet.
Okay. So anyway, so I'm sure there are also some misconceptions about your field. So now is your time to tell everyone how ballet is so important too, like the discipline you were able to learn from the craft, because everything there's a craft behind each and every field. So tell us more about ballet.
Sure. I've been teaching for around 10 years, and when I teach, I try not to just teach ballet. I try to teach the values that that comes with the training. I think I talked to you about how I try to teach my students discipline and patience, and having good listening skills. I think those are all important. And with ballet, you're not just learning to dance, you're not just learning the technique, how high your leg can go, how many turns you can do. It matters, but what matters is the mindset that you bring to class every day. I feel like ballet is a very good tool for young children to learn about life, because once you're in class, there are rules, and these rules aren't meant to like box the child in or box a person in.
It's not it's not for limitations. It's not
it's not very rigid, because you learn about all these values, and I think that's very important too. I learned that over the course of 17 years. I know the technique, yes, but the discipline and the patience I've had learning the craft, it's more important for me. And my classmates have brought that with them in the working world or in relationships or with family. So I think ballet is such a holistic hobby to learn. And if it becomes your career, it's a very short-lived career, but you get to learn so much from it, just values in general. And another misconception I don't like when we try to
rant.
We were talking earlier about how people think that ballet is such a high class hobby.
Maybe it's like pang elitista lang yan.
Yeah, pang elitista. It's too expensive, and I understand that being in a third world country, but I'm here to say that there are many schools that offer sponsorships and scholarships for impoverished dancers. They're very talented, but some of them don't have the funds to pay for classes, pay for point shoes, pay for all of these recitals. So there are so many schools and so many companies that cater to this, and I think that's great.
Oh, that's so cool. I love it. Okay, so that is it for those who are listening. Baka it's not too late to be a ballerina. No, but what would be the prime age though, ideally? As young as you can.
I have students who come in at 4 years old, but I think the best age is around 6 to 7.
Okay, so I guess yung mga listeners natin baka hindi na. Sorry, tapos na pa yung cut-off.
Are you talking about
in general?
In general, if you want to make it your career, I feel like 6 to 7 or at least 12 years old. But if you're an adult, if you're past 30, you can still join. There's so many classes. Okay.
So there still are parang classes for that. Not more like as a hobby.
Yes,
for the
definitely.
Arts. Okay.
I have classmates. No, of course not. I have classmates who are 50, 60
that's so
already.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love
it. Start any age.
We're talking about like professionally.
Professionally.
Prima ballerina.
Yes, principal dancer. Best age is at 7 or 13 latest. But if you want to do it as a hobby, anytime, you can just call me. There's so many classes.
I love that. Just call me.
Just call me. There's classes that are available.
Okay, I'll see you after we've all been vaccinated. That would be fun, diba? Why not?
Yes.
Okay, I love it. So now you were able to shift from one creative outlet to another, pageantry. Tell us about that, naman. What made you decide to join pageants? And how is that as another, we have yet another field altogether that has its own set of misconceptions.
Definitely.
And okay, so now let's talk about that. And what were some values or rise up stories you have from that industry that you can relate to life, or that our listeners can relate to in general?
So I started out my pageantry journey just like how ballet happened. It was out of the blue. I had a big sprain, so I was bedridden for so long. And while I was healing, my mom saw a workshop for aces and queens for modeling and walking. So she's like, Cassie, when you're fully healed, why not try this? You have a couple of months to rest. So I joined that, and the trainer over there, Mama J, he was like, Cassie, why don't you try joining a pageant? I mean, you're tall enough, you can walk, let's see. So I'm like, me join a pageant? It only crossed my mind a few times, because when I was growing up, like me and my mom would walk in the mall, and some random people would come up to my mom and ask me if I want to join pageants. I was 13 or 14 that time, and I think
you were a tall 13-year-old.
Yeah,
sure.
that's when I got my growth spurt. So, and I'm like, really? I don't think I should. And my mom was like, oh, she's too young, but it would happen over the course of the year. So I felt like, oh, that was the time to join. So that's it. I was supposed to join Mr. and Miss Chinatown 2019, but my mentor, Mama J, he's like, oh, just try Bini Bini. Why not? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So
Nauna pa yung Binibini.
Nauna pa. So I joined, and then luckily I got in, and that's it from there.
Nice. That's so cool. And for you, what were some of like I know the pageant industry is also pretty tough. I mean, right? So many eyes, so many judgment, also so many opinions.
No.
So for you, what were some of your maybe toughest or like most challenging moments, and maybe like your rise up story from that field?
Oh yes. I feel like I've discovered a lot about myself during Bini Bini when the first 2 months of training. All of the 39 candidates are so beautiful, and I didn't feel like I fit into the the Filipino
mold.
Yeah, the Filipino beauty queen mold.
Oh, okay,
so there was a time where I felt like very insecure about myself, and all the other candidates were either exotic morenas, very sultry, very beautiful, or mestiza beauties, very very ethereal and angelic faces. And then you have me, which is very Asian, and I am not the first thing you think of when you say Filipino beauty queen. So I felt kind of out of place there, and it was my first time, and it was tough. I felt like I felt very insecure, and with my team asking me to conform about these certain things. Oh, Cass, maybe you should have a nose job. Maybe you should put little fillers here and there.
Really went to that point?
Sometimes, but it's not like blatant, like you have to do this. It's more like little whispers here and there, or like they would like whisper to you.
Yes.
So it adds up.
Naman na kasi, diba? Like it's so easy not to get mga non-invasive stuff.
Right,
so they're
right.
probably like, oh, Cass, diba? Oh my gosh, what was going through your mind that time?
Right. But honestly, I'm open to that, but it was my first time, and I felt like, oh, maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I should change myself. So I tanned, I did everything. I felt like a different person basically during a couple of times in Bini Bini, and that's when I felt very bad about myself. I had like body dysmorphia. I didn't feel like I belonged in that group, but I felt much better towards the end of the journey when I realized, like, wait a second, what makes me different is what makes me unique. That's something to be embraced, even though I don't have morena skin like the others. Maybe I don't have expressive eyes. So these are physical aspects, but as a woman, it's very important to see yourself in a national stage. So I realized, like, oh, maybe I should be that person that embraces who I am truly.
Yes. Yeah. And in that sense, you represent us.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It's like if you do it on the global scale, how representation is important for everyone that looks differently. But how they were born that way, how they were meant to look that way. It's very important. So you're so brave for being able to do that and represent how we look, right?
Thank you.
Mga Oriental beauties.
Yes.
Saka, diba, uso naman na din, diba, mga K-pop beauties.
Right.
In a way, diba, medyo
recently lang, but before na, it's not.
Yes, but before,
we weren't really put on that stage.
Rise up story na ganyan. I don't know.
I'm sure. As Chennai girls.
Yeah, before
we have that.
Kasi before mga castings, modeling industry, iba talaga yung beauty standards back then.
Right. Ay, maliit eyes mo.
Yeah,
ay, magpa-nose job.
Hindi ka mestiza, parang, okay, tsaka na. Right? But now, you see, the times are changing, and it's empowering though.
So
but then, wow, it's so scary na you were able to overcome that body dysmorphia. And you know what? I want to kind of talk a little bit more about that, because I think a lot of us young ladies and even guys, diba, who are they tend to be so conscious with the way we look, the way we present ourselves.
Mm-mm.
Kind of like a double-edged sword in a way, no? Parang
Right.
imagery is important, yes. But at the same time, we still gotta own our own beauties.
Yes.
So, like, can you tell us more about how you overcame that? Considering all things, and then nangyari, you were in the middle of a competition, an actual competition. So, how did you have, like, you had to balance all that? And were you still a student that time also?
I was already working that time.
Working now, oh, so you still had work. Or maybe
I still had
paused
work.
a bit, diba? So,
Yeah.
or no? Paused
Oh,
a bit.
it was paused only for a few
For that.
instances, but I
Okay,
still taught. I still went to class.
Oh,
if there was
okay.
no bini activities.
Oh my gosh. So you see, you had so many things to juggle. So how was that for you on both the personal, I don't know, professional? Of course, at the same time, diba, alam mo naman yan, pinasukan mo yung pageant world. I'm sure coming into it, meron ka ng, medyo nakahanda na yung mindset mo na, okay, people are gonna have to say a lot of things about how the way I look, the way I dress and stuff. So how did you balance that and how did you overcome those challenges that are very personal?
With the pageant world, I felt like I overcame that by looking back at my ballet experience, because coming from from the ballet industry, it's basically the same thing. There's also body dysmorphia. There's a standard of what a ballerina should look like: very thin, very white, their thighs should be only like this big, like this radius.
Are you serious? Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
And for me, I'm 5'8", and no partner can lift me. I mean, they can, but it's just so hard. No one would like to lift me anymore because I'm just too tall, and with my height comes with the weight. So that too.
So many layers.
I know, so many layers,
much
right?
more complicated. Okay.
It's much more complicated. So in the ballet industry, there's a stereotype of what a dancer should look like. And here I come in the pageant world. There's also a stereotype as well. But as I said earlier, it helps by surrounding yourself with the people who support you for who you are. I feel like if the more time I spend on social media looking at the bashers and the comments, like, oh, she's not all that, oh Cassie, parang di yan bagay, alam mo yan. So social media is very important. It was very important for me. I felt like when I stopped looking at the comments and stopped looking at
what they had to say.
Yeah, what they had to say, I felt like, oh, it just lifted a weight off of my shoulder.
It's so freeing. Okay.
Yes.
It's a little bit ironic though, no? Na parang, right? At the same time, it's still going to be there. The structures, the limitations, the stereotypes, the expectations. But at the same time, you're in that, in those fields. But I think, accepting it, being in it, and still breaking the stereotypes is important. Oh my gosh. So moving forward, what message do you have for our listeners right now, our viewers who feel, either out of place, or maybe they want to, they feel like they have so many inhibitions they want to conquer, and they just feel overwhelmed in general. So what's your message for them?
Ooh, I felt like that many times as well. And when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel like you want to do so many things, I feel like it helps when you write down your goals and you write the tiny steps you can achieve them by achieving the small baby steps. And it helped me with ballet, it helped me with pageantry, and this might sound cliche, but it helped me, writing it down really helped me know myself. And I've used that strategy during Mr. and Miss Chinatown. I wrote down what I felt that day, I wrote down my goals, and it just helped me know myself more and know who I am as a person, because there's just so much noise being on social media.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
From your family, from your friends. But what matters deep down inside, I feel like a lot of people will get mad if I say this, but because I really believe what matters deep down inside is what you feel about yourself. Because if you're happy and if you're content with yourself, you just glow a certain way and you just make other people happy. Because if you're being forced to do something you do not want, the rest of your circle the rest of your family and the rest of your community just goes down with you. So I feel like you should work on yourself so you can help others. You know?
Nice, nice, very important. And I mean, we were all given our own intuitions, right? Our own sense of self that we should never fail to respect. You know, at the end of the day, we should still respect what we want. It's there for a reason, you know, that the way we feel about certain things, like you can't help it. Your heart goes to ballet, even if there are certain standards, diba, na parang mahirap, diba? And yet you're able to overcome that, and you know, you're able to, you know, give a certain kind of flavor that, hey, I'm a ballerina and this is how I do it, right?
Yes.
And it's very interesting how, you know, times are changing in every industry. We're starting to be more accepting of different, you know, not just looks, different everything, diba? The way we present ourselves. And yeah, it's very exciting to see how you're flourishing too. So congratulations on that. And okay, so what's next for Cassie? Close na tayo, Cassie na. Okay, what's next for Cassie? And I understand you're still like, you have your advocacies as well with our foundation and with our production team. So tell us more about what's next for you, and maybe plug your advocacy so we can help out too.
Oh, sure. With Mr. and Miss Chinatown, we're working on a very secret project. I can't say much about it yet, but we're working on something that will help young adults living in the lockdown. So basically all of us. Young adults aged like 21 to 30, those who are finding their way in life and in love, and of course in our career. So hopefully it's going to push through. I can't say much about it, but Justin and I, Mr. and Miss Chinatown, are working on that. And yes, that's something to look forward to for Mr. and Miss Chinatown. And I can't wait for it to come into fruition.
Yes, I love it. And for sure, a lot will be able to benefit from that. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, any more, I don't know, final words, closing speech, closing remarks. I mean, you're a pageant girl, you know the drill.
Oh, yes.
Anything else na baka nalimutan or like we weren't able to touch up on?
So far, I just want to say thank you for having me on this show. I've always loved talking to Janeena. I love I've been telling Mish, I love your IG feed, and I just love what you do with your hosting work. It's really great. And of course, with Chino Cares and Mr. and Miss Chinatown, I hope you can continue to support us. We have a couple of projects coming up, and thank you again for watching.
Yes, thank you so much. That has been Cassie Chan, Cassandra Chan. You can follow her as well online. And don't forget to follow Rise Up with Janeena Chan too, as well as my platforms. And we'll see you again next time. If you are listening via Apple Podcasts, please do give us a great review by giving us the maximum stars. And if you're listening via Spotify, please do share this via your stories and tag us as well so we can repost them. We always love hearing from you, and we always love being able to uplift you. Again, we're in this together, all of us. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.